Hello, my name is Pau, and today I'm going to give you a presentation about my first class in M8 activity. The first activity I want to present you Android architecture, how to create a project, ID, section of Android Studio, emulators, errors, and layouts. Android architecture is the first one you picked, actually, and GTA 3 the first. When you create a Java application, the source code is compiled into the bytecode files with a set platforms, independent structures, and stored in files with point class extension. The GTR is responsible for interpreting and executing the bytecode in Java. Example of the GTR I running in Java application. The most common use of the GTR is to run Java application. For example, if you have a standalone Java application, such a game or desktop application, users will need to have JRE installed on their system to run this application. The second one explained this SDK. This the second. An SDK provides developers with the tools needed to interact with specific platforms or technologies and simplifies the development process by providing pre-built components and documentations. The typical includes are libraries and APIs, development tools, documentation, code exams, emulators of simulators. This is all of types. One example for SDK is an Android SDK. Is used by Android app developers to include tools such as Android Studio, class libraries, and APIs for developing mobile apps from Android device. The third step is Grundle. Grundle uses a domain-specific language, DLSL, based on growing or Kotlin to define the structure of a project and associate tasks. Its main advantage is flexible and the ability to manage large projects with multiple modules or dependents. Some of Grundle case features include dependency manager, constructors and compilations, support for multiple language, running custom tags, plugin-based configuration, and support for continuous integrations. The last of our Android architecture is Hamsk is a technology that improves the performance of virtual machines by allowing them to directly access to CPU and memory integrate of the emulator. This speeds up virtual machines, especially used for Android emulators in developed environments such as Android Studio, available for Windows and Macs. Is it installed as a drive for kernel and must be enabled in the system settings to take advantage of it. The second point I want to explain is how to create a project in this case using Android Studio. The first thing will you do is open the Android Studio and go to the window at the top of the left. You see here. You click on File, New, and New Project. When that window do select the type of project we want to create. You want to create MP activity, button navigation view activity, navigation drawing view activity, basic views activity, all of these different of types. When you create the correct activity, you would see when Grundle and other types, internal process, inside the Android Studio is completely great. You see the same of this image. The structure in Android mode and the applications. IDE. Android Studio is a Google's official integrated developer for Android app. It is highly, especially tool that makes it easy to create, edit, debug, and test Android apps. This is the logo of the Android Studio application. Selections of Android Studio. In this case, I explain different of tips or good points of the Android Studio. You see here in the Android Studio is an intuitive user interface. Is really easy to use in the other diapositive. Powerful code edition includes suggestion code for syntaxes, auto-completion, code refactoring, all of these types. Android Studio includes an emulator integrate in the application. So you select your phone or your type of phone when you use, and emulate this phone for testing your application. Android Studio, I have the coding support for programming language, SDK manage. Android Studio includes SDK manage that makes it easy to install and manage Android versions. Integrity testing, you can perform unit test and UE test directly from Studio. Version control, Android Studio integrates with the version control system such as Git, allowing efficient tracking of change to your code. Code Analyzer provides a static code analyzer that helps you identify problems and improve in your code. Constant updates, well updates Android Studio regularly to include the new features, performance improved, and resolve these bugs. In Android Studio, do you know to use another emulation, not integrate emulator? Another. This is Nox. Nox is an Android Studio emulator that allows users to run Android apps and the game on these computers using Windows or Mac OS operating systems. It works by creating Android virtual machines inside your computer, allowing you to run Android apps in Windows or your desktop. This is a Nox player this web. To click here to download and download Notes application. This is because this is using this application for testing your apps in using conform Android Studio, but it is a Android virtual machine. You download the typical games, Clash of Clans or something in this app, and they run in PC your Android games. Second is App Center. App Center is a platform or device that provides a set of tools and resources for software developers, business, or app developers teams. Its main objective is to simplify and streamline the process of developing, testing, distribution, and managing mobiles application and something also web applications. This use actually a lot of the business world, because the developer create the app in in London, and the testing people are in Spain. The testing people connect to the app IP center and download the last versions to create the development and testing all the applications in all of types of mobiles. Is more easy than the Spain people go to London, connect the mobile with a cable to the development PC and download the version. This is most easy because you're only going to have one phone to connect to the app center and download your version. It's really easy. This is different types of errors. The first type to explain is compiler error. This is the most typical. Syntactic error. This error occurs when the source code does not follow valid programming language syntaxes. For example, a missing semicolon and the end of line in Java. Type errors. These occur when you try to assign in incompatible data, type operator performs invalid operation of data types. This is an example for compiler error. This is a error wheel. Error wheel appearance using where in this case Grandel takes one error. This is a compiler error. There's errors occurring during the building process. In this case, in Android Studio, compiling the building process is her job of Grandel. They can be caused by problems with dependencies, missing resources, or incompatibility in library versions. These are types. Resource errors then can include problems with images, XML layouts, duplicates, or incompatible resource files. This is the two most typical building errors. Errors when you run. This is an example for the application installing file. One type of error you see in the image. Runtime errors, then errors occur when the application is running on device or emulator. They can include unhandled expansions such as null pointer exception or array in the out of bonus extension. These are examples. Logical errors, they can manifest as incorrect application behavior such as a button that does not perform the intended actions. Error crash. This is an example for you testing your application and the application crash. You see this pop-up to apparent. Application close unexpectedly. When an application crashes or close unexpectedly a crash, it's often to record. This can be due expansions and memory uses to incompatibles. This is errors from debug. Errors from debug. This is an example. Do you see in the error? Unstable breakpoint. If you don't configure the breakpoints in your code and don't enable the debugging, it can be difficult to identify and troubleshoot problems at running times or something. Cyber logic errors. Some errors mean to throw obviously exceptions, but they can affect the behavior of the application. Debugging allows you to track and resolve these issues. And the final point on this presentation, later I do see my application layout, is the different types of layouts. The first one explained is relative layout. This layout allows you to position the elements in relation to other elements in the same layout or in relation of the edge of the parent layout. It is very versatile and is used for complex and customized design. This is, for example, a relative layout. Do you see in your mobile, for example, a mobile application? Linear layout. Elements are organized online, either horizontally or vertically. It's useful for design simple linear users. You see a linear layout horizontal and a linear vertical. It's same, but do you put all of types in horizontal or all of types in vertical? Constant layout. Constant layout is very flexible layout and allows you to define constraint relationship between elements. You can specify how elements should be positioned and aligned relative to the other elements, making it easier to create responsive and responsive designs. You see here. Later, when you see my application, do you see these types lines in the buttons, for example, or text? This is a constraint layout. The frame layout. This layout is used to display only one element at a time. It's commonly used to display individual snippets or views, such as a snippet of a tab up. For example, this is a frame layout example. It's different that you see this distance, but in frame layout I don't have this distance, only distance in the center type bottom. The right and the left button is not have distance for the limit of their app. Within the layout, organize elements into rows and columns, similar to a table. You can specify the numbers of rows and columns and control how elements are distributed in the grid. You see, for example, the grid 2x4 layout. You see first, second, third, fourth, but the 15 you put in the second line. Table layout organizes elements into the rows and columns, but unlike grid layout, it's used a table-based approach. If used for design user interface that resame tables. You see, for example, to table layout, you put all different times to row. In row 1, choose separate in 3 parts. The row 3 in 2 parts, but it's not symmetric parts. One part is most big than the second column. Scroll view is used when you have content that is large than the screen and you want users to be able to scroll to see all that content. You can place any other type of layout inside scroll view. Scroll view is typical when you scroll up in, I don't know, Twitter or at least X or TikTok. The scroll up is the same of type. Drawer layout. This layout is commonly used to implement sliding navigation menus. It has a main area inside drawers that slides from the edge or screen. This have a lot of applications. This drawer layout in sliding navigation menu you see in this image. So yeah, most common. Put here your account, I don't know, gallery, tools, settings, all of these types. And the last layout is a coordinator layout. Coordinator layout is a high-level layout used to coordinate interactions between views. If especially useful if in combination with a scroll view, such as a bar layout and nested layer to view. This is an example in this case. Do you see there, and the other type do you see there. Okay, this is all. Hello, okay, I'm going to explain my application, my layout application, using a developer application that allow conversion between the different unit that's from the scale of unit of measures of the type. You can most allow the users convert in both directions, one unit of measures into another. This is my activity 1. This is the explication. In my application of conversions, I two versions, in horizontal and another in vertical with show you below. Do you see this is a vertical application? Do you click here on landscape? Do you see the horizontal view? Is the same points but on nearly different mode. My application consists of 3 sections in vertical. You see the first section, second section, and the third section. The first and the second section to use 20% of this is 20% of the screen, and this is other 20%. This is 0 to 20, 20 to 40, 40 to 1000. 100%, sorry, 100. My application, the first section is with your choose the units do you want to share and the conversation buttons. If the second section what we have are amount you want to convert, an amount to convert, and finally we have an image that occupies 60% of the screen when you can see in the conversation. In Horizon type, I want to explain, but it's more similar, it's the same, but in another organization. In the original version, it's practically the same, but only that the image occupies 54% of the screen, and the rest would be the same, only that instead of behind and on the top of the other will be the image on the right, and on the left at the top the version buttons here, and these and the units, and below to that we have two amounts to convert, and the converters. These are the result types. This is all of my application and my explain of layouts, Android Studio, architecture language, all of these types.